Smart real estate investors. Congratulations to all my clients that have bought this property, and a bigger congratulations to my proposed or my prospects that will be coming, to buy this wonderful piece of luxury. News number one: on the 14th of September, this property is increasing. Yes, 300 square meter will now sell for 20 million, and 600 square meter will sell for 40 million. Even at that price, as long as this location is concerned, it's still a fair deal. I know a developer that is selling for 65 million. That is not also. We're going to be having apartments here, two-bedroom apartment for 25. I mean, one-bedroom apartment for 25 and three-bedroom apartment for 30. Now, the 30 million for the two-bedroom apartment is a giveaway price. I know developers that are selling two-bedroom apartment are all the way from Ibeju for 48. Some are even selling 50. So if you have the opportunity to get two-bedroom apartment for 30 million, trust me, it's the best deal. So please don't procrastinate. Take advantage. Now, this is Lekki. Dangote though is part of the Etiosa corridor of the Lekki axis. So having an inheritance here, having a property in your name here is one of the best investment decisions ever you can make. All you need to do is to make an initial deposit of 10%, and between now and the 14th of September, you spread for 12 months without interest, and you can also pay for 24 months. So for more information about this property, whether it is apartment, whether it is the terraces, or whether it is the land, trust me, whichever one you have chosen as your preferred investment, you are making a very, very wonderful decision. So this is Peak Luxury Call. I just came to give my clients and my prospect development update. Look at the interlock. Very soon they are going to start the CCTV camera. The drainages is almost done. Then of course other things, there's security at the gate. So this is the best. So trust me, the decision you can make right now is to invest in this property. Thank you. Have a nice day. All right, you're welcome back. So I said today we're going to be talking about something that is very, very important today. And today's episode is, centered on some of the various concerns, the inquiries, and some of the pleasant circumstances that have dominated the real estate industry in Lagos, Nigeria. And there's been a video that has been circulating the social media, the video of a man that it was, being beaten, stripped naked, and a lot of people have been asking questions: why do we have such instances, some circumstances like that? Now, because of some, YouTube regulations and community standard, we would not be able, to post this video, and because we don't want to violate any community rules and guidelines for operation. But on our comment section, I'm going to be posting, I'm sharing the link of that video for some of us who have, not seen that video, can of course go through that link and of course check the video. Now, the question is, why do we have such unfortunate circumstances? A whole lot of people have been asking. Now, the reason why I'm not be commenting on it basically is that I obviously don't have accurate information of what might have transpired between the man and other allegations that have been raised. And it is very important that you don't establish a point if you don't have value, data, indices, statistics to back up your analysis. But today I'm going to be talking about the major lapses in the Lagos State real estate market, and how can this, become, pardon me, a major issues of concerns for real estate investors. What are the lapses? And today's episode is going to be very, very, direct. And of course, I'm also glad to announce that it's going to be one of our shortest videos on property matters. God help me. The very first lapses that that have engulfed the activities of real estate developers in Lagos, Nigeria, is number one, non-regulations of real estate activities in Lagos. Yes, I've said this several times. I've made several analyses and explanations. Yes, the real estate market in Lagos is not regulated. I've seen instances whereby some clients, some prospects have made several concerns. They've raised several issues that they've had with various real estate developers, and a lot of them have told, they have said, of course, they've expressed their own opinions, and of course their wealth of experience over this. Some have said that if this were to be abroad, things like this would have been adequately taken care of. Things and things like this wouldn't have happened. Now, what I have to say to this basically is that the advantages that many real estate companies today, most of these real estate companies are enjoying, is that the industry is not regulated. And that is why it is very important that as a real estate investor, you really want to put your attention to some facts that I'll be outlining here. Now, there have been instances of companies selling properties to people 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. There is no allocate. There is no allocation. There have been instances of people selling and not even going back or answering some questions concerning the properties they've sold. And the issue basically here is that it will continue. Yes, it will continue. A whole lot of people have done this, and they've gotten away with it. This is Nigeria. So it will continue. So the industry is not regulated. So when you are choosing your preferred real estate company to deal or associate with, you need to understand that the industry is not regulated. So you want to be what? To be careful. Okay, the industry. So that's how you notice that somebody can buy property anywhere without regarding the status of the property, and they sell. There've been issues whereby you have some concerns, you will call, you don't get to to hear from them. There have been instances of refund. They will tell you, before we refund, some so amount of money will be deducted. Of course, that obviously is part of it. Then there have been instances of people selling committed properties that should not be sold in the first place. They are being sold. Okay, and there have been instances of course, people abandoning projects, and a whole lot of diasporan real estate investors have called me and said, Mr. Jerry, what exactly is going on in the Lagos real estate market? Now, what is actually going on is just the fact that the industry is not regulated. So people can eat their cake and and still have it. So if some real estate companies can sell property to you for 5 years and they've not allocated you, and I can tell you that heaven will certainly, I mean, hell will certainly not let loose. Okay, so there's no regulation. So when you are dealing or involving yourself in any form of real estate activities here in Lagos, Nigeria, you want to be concerned. Then the next thing you also want to talk about is the problem of what? Continuity. Yes, I think I've raised this point in some of the explanations I've given. There was a scenario of a Nigerian that is presently based in Canada. Of course, this is a story I learned from another concerned real estate investor. And this man said he bought this sole property, 13 plots of land from a property in Ibeju Lekki from a developer. And the greatest regret that this particular investor had basically was that he has paid for the property, he has paid even including the statutory fees, and it was supposed to be allocated. It was given possessions, to his land. Excuse me. And several years later, he started having issues on that 13 plots of land. The first issue was the communal issues, where some members of the families are saying that the real estate developer that sold the property to him did not have the legal right to do so. Then several months later, government regulations and policies change for real estate change for that particular location. And to summarize the entire situation, this man lost possession, okay, of 13 plots of land. Excuse me. He lost possession of 13 plots of land, and today he cannot point hand to his property. The worst scenario was that when they decided to go to the office of the real estate company that sold to him to report the situation and to find out if something can be done to address the situation. The issue presently right now is that the company is not even in existence. From all indications, I found out that the real estate developer has even relocated abroad. That is the second situation. So in the issues of continuity, most real estate companies that I know that sold properties in 2018, 2016, 2015, 60% of the well-known brands right now are no longer in operation. Some are no longer in existence. And in most cases, if you have, mistakenly, invested with some of these developers and they are not in existence, there is no law protecting you. Do you understand? So there is the problem of continuity should be a concern to the real estate investor. What is the vision of these guys? What are the backups? What are their investments? What are their projects? Do these guys have insurance? Have they set up, some regulations that can ensure that even in their absence, okay, the company will run and thrive effectively? These are some of the things that you want to, put into consideration. And that was how this real estate investor lost over what? Lost control and ownership of over 13 plots of land after being paid in full. Then the next lapses that have also, dominated the real estate industry is that there is no price regulation. Yes, there is no price regulation. Now, to an to an extent, I can say that this should be like an advantage, and it has several disadvantages. Over time, we've had instances whereby different real estate companies have given justifications and explanations to the reasons for price increase. Some have even done an extensive video explaining the forces of demand and supply, the present cost of building materials, the present cost of this and that. And from all indications and from what we have seen, you would understand that some of these things are justifiable. But my one major form of concern basically is that you can only, okay, increase the price valuation for that property when value has been put on a particular property. So my question that several of them have been unable to adequately respond to is that what basically are the yardsticks that is being used to do what? To defend prices of the properties you are selling. Now, let me quickly explain this. For a real estate developer that is into constructions, that is building structures, building things, putting up a lot of things, such developer have a justification, okay, to increase, because we know that there is inflation in the real estate industry. There's inflation in prices of materials. When you buy cement, a bag of cement presently right now is selling for 5,002. The trucks of sand have increased, and of course the cost of labor. And this is obviously due to the fact that subsidy have been removed, okay, from the economy. So these have, they've accurately affected the prices of which commodities are being sold in the market. So definitely this is a justification for price increase for a developer that is putting value on that property. It is a justification. So when we make assertion, it is very important that we balance, our analysis so that we will not be biased or we will not be tagged as being subjective. When you're giving a subjective analysis is when you don't balance. But if you want to be, want to be objective and you want to accurately give, an explanation, you have to approach it from both sides of what of arguments. So for a developer that is putting value, doing gatehouse, interlocking, painting, putting the moment you are putting infrastructures on the property, you are putting value on that land. When you're putting infrastructures on that property, you are inviting people and investors to come and stay. So when that place becomes, when the process of habitation of that place is gradual and people can see traces of development on your land, on your property, there is justification if the price, of course, when prices increase, it also what adds what more value to, and of course, the investor can say, okay, fine, I bought this property for this also price, and I can sell it for this price. But in a scenario where um it's just bare land, nothing is being done, just the fence and the gate, no value has been added, nothing has been done, the place is so bushy, and because of the fact that there are activities of people buying estates, I've seen instances whereby some companies will ask them friends, their fellow developers, how much are you selling your own land there? Okay, 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 it's 2 million. I'm still selling my own 1 million. Do price increase flyer. That obviously is an unfair justification for price increase. So one of the major lapses is that there is no price regulation. So that you need to understand that most developers are at the liberty of what of increasing the prices of their property, even without adding values that can corroborate or that can justify the price. So to an extent, I've explained the disadvantage, but to a real estate investor is an advantage for you. Now, the reality here basically is that if you bought a property for 1 million and 6 months later they've told you your property is worth 3 million. Now, there are two questions you should ask yourself. If I'm to be the buyer, have I valued this place to be worth? Have I valued this place to be worth 3 million? Will I be happy? Will I be excited? Will I be glad to put in 3 million for that property? You have to do a personal evaluation and ask yourself if you'll be able to buy that property for that price. So to an extent, price increase is an advantage for an investor who is buying solely for appreciation sake. Price increase is an advantage, okay, for an investor whose purpose of purchase is strictly for what? Appreciation state. But if it's for residential, okay, and they told you that the property is worth, let's say, fine, you bought for like maybe 2 million, and in less than let's say 1 year, and they told you that the property have increased from 2 million to 5 million. And the question you ask yourself basically is that if I'm to be the buyer, these are the questions I will ask. Oh, fine, 2 million. Okay, you bought for 2 million, now you want to sell for 5 million. The first thing I ask, what are the documents? Because you see, what justifies the worth of the property is not just the activities of development or people buying properties in that access. No, the very first thing every smart real estate investor wants to look out for is the document, because it is the document that determines if you're still going to have control of the land or government is going to take it from you. So in a place where my document has not been done, they're giving you figures. You need to ask a question if that figures given is what is realistic. So you need to understand that price regulation. So most of these guys are the liberties of putting the price. Then the next thing basically is that there is no insurance policy. Now, basically, a whole lot of people. I was told in abroad that when you're buying a property, there are insurance regulatory bodies that will take charge of damages. Let's say, for instance, your tenant that rented the house did a lot of damage. You don't need to worry. Okay, the insurance people come, they cover it up in as much as fact that you are paying your normal insurance levy and the likes. And that obviously has made real estate abroad very, very interesting. But in Nigeria, nothing of such. So I've even seen instances whereby some houses got burnt and they said government will take charge of that house and the likes. That government I asked those people, did they pay for insurance? They said no. Surprisingly, government government fixed that house and sold it to somebody else. So we don't have insurance. So in some cases, when people go into wrong real estate transaction, it is through the grace of God that some people even get to recoup some of the money they've invested. So there is no insurance, there is no regulated body protecting the interests of the buyers. So these are some of the things that you want to put into consideration. So investors' safety, investors' interests sometimes are not being protected, and this is why you want to. So these are one of the major lapses that have plagued the Nigerian real estate market. The last and the final thing basically is that some companies are not following some of the basic legal things or legal activities. And one of such is most of these real estate companies you are buying properties from are not paying their taxes. Some of the real estate developers that are selling properties to you are not paying their taxes. Some have been in operations for 3 years, some have been in operation for God knows when. And the reason basically is that they felt that they are smart and government will not ask them of something. But this present crop of government will come for their neck. So what have taxes got to do? There was this particular scenario of this particular real estate company I was having a discussion with, and the man said some people from the FIRC, that the Federal Inland Revenue Service, those are the body in charge of tax revenue, gave an estimate of what tax burden some of these companies evade taxes, and it will get to a point that when governments begin to pay attention to them, a whole lot of companies may run out of operations, because when government begin to calculate the number of taxes they are supposed to pay from the period of operation till date, I doubt if some of them will be able to survive it. So these are um, the things you need to do, put into consideration, and which is it is a major lapses, okay, for the Nigerian real estate um, investment sector. So as an investor, how do you protect yourself? How do you safeguard your interest so that you don't fall, into prey of this? The very first thing I will advise basically is that you need a professional, a seasoned and an experienced real estate professional who is well grounded, somebody who understands the operations, somebody who understands the policy, somebody who understands the way at which these activities are being done. That's number one. Then number two, you also need to quit buying cheap. A lot of people are in problems today because they left quality for quantity. A lot of people today are in deep circumstances or unfortunate circumstances because of the fact that they did not pay attention to the brand. So in the process of trying to look for a more cheaper options, they have indirectly bought a problem for some people are buying the last people are buying is just like they're using their money to buy problem in the future. So they don't understand that these are some of the things. Then number three, you also need to in some cases for some of the real estate investors that are buying high ticket, whether it is high ticket or low ticket, you need to demand for evidences that these companies are paying taxes. There's a particular company that I know of that the Federal Inland Revenue Service did an estimated sum of the tax it was supposed to pay from, let's say, from the onset to the present. And if this particular company gets to escape it, it will be to the glory of God. So you need to ask them, are you guys, because you see, when problems strike, there have been instances whereby government are shutting down companies. They will say, it's just something. A lot of people are deliberately dipping their hands into things that will put them into trouble. There are a lot of companies today that they are facing serious legal cases. You guys don't know. And for the fact that they are facing legal cases or they're having one or two challenges that could affect their operations, they will not come on and tell you. And the saddest thing is that most of these guys are still promoting and saying, and this is why you need capable hands like us to help you. We can investigate and let you know this is the brand you should deal with. This brand is reputable, because you see, when the problem gets to start, most people will not be spared. And we are in a present administration today, okay? And the reason is that this present administration are paying attention to things that past administrations have deliberately ignored. So you need to ask them for their tax. Are you guys paying tax? I hope when I want to use my property in the future, government will not say because of that, so I will lose possession. So these are some of the important things. So I've had several videos talking about how to support important questions you should ask. When you're really investing in Lagos, you can check that video. So this is where I'm going to draw the curtain of today's episode of Property Matters. I hope you people have found value. I was thinking it was going to be a short video, but after all, there's a lot to say and there's a lot for real estate investors to know. So thank you very much for staying tuned. Thank you for the support. Thank you for everything. And I'll see you in my next video. God bless you. Bye for now.